Okay, so we'll get started. So this is week 2, the second lecture of week 2, and we are going to do discrete time models, but specifically this week we are focusing on step response and impulse response models. Just to give a recap of what are the types of models that we covered in the previous lectures, or more specifically what are the various linear models. I've categorized them as continuous time, discrete time. We talked about state space models, transfer function models. I think these two models are familiar to you from your undergraduate courses, and input output models and finite impulse response models or finite step response models. So, this week we are, or today's lecture is going to be on impulse and step response models. They are also called convolution models, by the way. Convolution models basically means summation of parameter multiplied by the input summed over n time steps, and that is how the structure of finite impulse and step response models are. So, that is another way, another terminology that you may come across in the literature. Next week we are actually going to spend an entire lecture and a half to talk about model conversion. So, if you have a state space model, how do you go from state space to a transfer function, transfer function to a state space? From an input output model, arcs and armax is what. So, examples are arcs. There are other structures as well, but these are the two most common structures. How to go from transfer function model to an IO model, or an IO model to a transfer function model, from an impulse response step response model to a transfer function models, or from any of these to state space model. How can you do interconversions between these models? How can you go from continuous time to discrete time models? All of that we are going to cover in next week. Talking about continuous to discrete time models, the yesterday's class I finished off by talking about the distinction between continuous signals and continuous models. Okay. So, what does a continuous model basically mean? Continuous model means, let us say you have input versus k, which is sampling instances, and you want to find how y changes with k, right. So, let us say you are going to say we will start with u over here, then u is here, then u is here, then u is here, then u is here. Let us say this is how an operator or a controller changed the various inputs. Okay. The operator or a controller is going to change the various inputs at certain discrete times. Okay. From that, there is a D2A converter, digital to analog converter, that gets fed into the system. Okay. Now, your system, for example, yesterday we talked about a stirred tank heater. The system itself is an analog system. There is no digital, there is nothing digital about the system. How do we get digital to it? Because our input moves are implemented at discrete time steps, our outputs from the system are sampled at discrete time steps. So, again same thing. Now, when we talk about y, you will again have this is the output. We need some way to convert this discrete inputs into continuous inputs, and we are going to use signal reconstruction approaches in order to do that, and we need some means to convert continuous signals into discrete signals, and that is sampling, and we have talked about sampling a little bit earlier. Okay. So, sampling we have talked about. Let us talk about how to go from a discrete time signal to a continuous time signal. Okay. So, there are various approaches that one can do. So, you have these various inputs. Okay. One way to do this is what is called as a zero order hold. What zero order? So, keep in mind that at time 0, you do not know the future. Okay. So, lot of times you might actually be tempted to just connect these dots. Okay, but currently you are at time 0, you are not at time if you were at time 4 and you were to see this, yes, you will be able to connect the dots. Okay, but the problem is currently you are at time 0 right now. So, at 10:08 am I change my valve, I increase the flow rate to 15. Okay, at 10:09 I increase the flow rate to 18. At 10:10 I increase the flow rate to 19, at 10:11 I have increased the flow rate to 21. Okay. I do not know that at 10:12 I would have increased the flow rate to 21 sitting right at 10:08. Okay. So, you cannot just connect those dots, okay, because that is the most obvious thing lot of us would think. Okay. One of the ways to do this is what is known as zero order hold. What zero order hold means is that I said operator changed the valve to 15, left it, for next 1 minute the value is at 15, then the operator changed the valve to 16 and then left it, next time the value is at 16. So, you will do one possibility is zero order hold. Okay. So, what does zero order hold reconstruction would look like? Ut is equal to okay. So, from time k to time k plus 1 u is held at that value, okay, that is zero order hold. Okay. Then there is something called first order hold. What first order hold basically means is that instead of using a zero ordered function, you are using a first order function. So, how will this look like? The first guy will look the same. Okay. Now, the second guy is in this direction, right. So, we will start going in that particular direction. Okay. The third one is again in that direction. So, we will go in that direction. The fourth one is in this direction. So, we will go in this direction. The fifth one is in this direction, we will go in this direction. Okay. So, what you are doing is you are using k and k minus 1 to predict how the behavior from k to k plus 1 is going to be, okay, and that is the kind of signal that you get is called a first order hold signal. Okay. Over years it has been shown that first order hold actually does not give any benefits over zero order hold, and especially if things are changing or operators are changing things or controller is changing things too much, okay, then first order hold might be a poorer reconstruction technique. So, for the most part the first order hold technique is not really used, okay. And just for historical completeness, Shannon's reconstruction is another approach, and this is lot used in lot of digital systems. So, for example, in digital media the data is stored in discrete times. So, if you want to retrieve the data from a digital media from discrete to continuous, you actually have all the data in future and past also. So, you can use what is known as Shannon's reconstruction in order to do this. So, with that background, let us now go to what finite impulse and step response models are going to look like. Okay. So, this is a computer controlled system. The plant, the actual plant, let us say this was for example your stirred tank heater. Okay. You are going to give discrete inputs at various times. So, at time 0 you have given this input. Okay. So, sorry, at time 0 you have given this input. So, with 0 order hold, this input is going to be converted to this particular line. Okay. Now, with this change in this signal, this is that particular line. Let us say that the system has responded in this way. Okay. You lose all this information from here. Okay. You are only sampling this particular point. So, you are only getting this point over here. Okay. Now, let us say you have implemented the next move by 0 order hold, this is how that move is going to look like. Okay. Because of that 0 order hold, as you can see, this is what the move looks like. So, the system responds further and goes over here. Okay. We do not have any idea of how this has actually happened. We have only sampled this point. So, we are only going to get this particular point. Okay. Then we decide that our U3 is going to be this guy. Because of that 0 order hold, this is going to be our U3, sorry U2, and this is how that signal is going to look like. This is going to respond by going over here. Okay. So, we get this particular. Okay. So, you might actually notice it is possible that this particular peak is missed out because of sampling. Okay. Most of the time that is not going to be a problem. Okay. Most of the time it is not a problem, you can do that. Okay. The only times it is going to be a problem is if your sampling is extremely slow, and we have talked about in one of the classes what that would entail. So, how fast should be the sampling? If you know the frequencies of interest, your sampling should be at least as fast as half that frequency. Okay. You should not sample slower than that. Okay. Okay. So, with that background, let us talk about the two systems. Before we talk about step response models and impulse response models, let us talk about what a steps looks like and what an impulse looks like, right. So, how is an impulse going to look like? At before time 0, it is at 0. Okay. At time 0, you give 1 unit increase. At time 1, this drops back over here, and then it is 0 all over again. This is an impulse. This is a step. So, what does that impulse mean? U0 equal to 1, U1 equal to 0, U2 equal to 0, and so on. Okay. What does step mean? U0 equal to 1, U1 equal to 1, and so on. Okay. Now, this impulse or this step has been fed into the system. What that means is, let us say you have a stirred tank heater, okay, and you want to give an impulse or a step to, let us say, the heating rate. So, let us say the heating rate right now was 25. So, we are all talking about deviations from the steady state. So, let us say the steady state heating rate is 25, we are going to call that as our 0 in our u and y notations, and that is how we will, whenever we linearize the model is always linearized around the desired steady state. Okay. So, let us say we want to give a 20% step up change, that step up change will go from 25 to 30 units. Okay. The response to that would look something like this. Okay. That was a response to a step of size 5. What would be the response to a step of size 1? Just 1/5 of that. Okay. That is how practically it is implemented. Sometimes it is not possible to give a unit, an actual unit step change, 1 unit step change. Why? Because 1 unit might be very, very low. Okay. Let us say the flow rate is 100 liters per minute, then 1 unit is to go from 100 to 101, that is a very small increase and you will not be able to measure anything. So, you will actually increase by say 20%, and once you get the output you will divide by that particular value and you will be able to get a step response model. Okay. So, this is an impulse, this is a response to that impulse. Okay. The response to the step is going to look something like this. What we are saying over here is that the system is stable, and let us assume that it settles in n time steps. Okay. So, what does that mean? This value is going to be 0, this value, let us say this is h1, let us say this value is h2. So, we gave a single impulse or a single pulse into the system. Okay. There was a 0 order hold, because of 0 order hold we got this reconstructed input signal that went through our plant or our system, we got this output signal. Okay. The output signal was a continuous signal, but we have sampled at discrete time steps. Okay. So, we get the output as H0, H1, H2, so on, Hn and 0, 0, 0, right. H0 is equal to 0 because the system is causal. So, let us ignore H0 part. After Hn, the system response has been complete. So, let us ignore what happens after that also. Okay. Hn plus 1, Hn plus 2 will not be exactly 0. You have to decide what 0 is, whether you want to say 98% of the peak is going to be 0, 95% is 0, what would be 0, you need to decide. Okay. It is never going to exactly be 0, it will be 0 after a really long time. Because the first order, I mean it is not first order, but it is an nth order system. So, it would take a really long time for it to go to 0. Okay. So, we need to decide where we want to stop that n. Okay. So, this is our discrete time input. This is our 0 order hold, this is our process, and this is our sampled signal. Okay. As far as our impulse response is concerned, this is of interest to us. Same thing with step response. With step response, we are going to say S1, S2, S3, okay. Unlike impulse response, Sn plus 1, Sn plus 2, Sn plus 3 are not 0, they are simply equal to Sn. Okay. So, the responses over here are going to be 0, S1, S2, so on up to Sn, 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 and so on and so forth. Again, they will not be exactly equal to Sn, it will be say 99% of Sn, 99.5% of Sn, 99.7% of, or Sn would be 99.5% of the steady state value, 99, or the next one will be 99.6% of steady state value, next time one will be 99.7% of steady state value. So, it is approximately, it will not be exactly completely flat. Okay. So, as we did before, we are going to ignore all of this, we are only going to talk about S1 to Sn or H1 to Hn. Okay. Again, as we said, S1 to Sn is a response to an inputs of this type. Okay. So, certain assumptions, again the assumptions we have laid out in the previous slide, it is causal, therefore, H0 or S0 was equal to 0, there is no immediate response. That was exactly the question that was asked yesterday, is there no D matrix in the state space model? All of these are equivalent statements and those are because of the assumption of causality. We assume stable, that the response settles in exactly n steps. So, if you want to control let us say an inverted pendulum type of a system, you would not be able to do it using a step response MPC. We will have to use a state space MPC, something that we are going to come much later in this course. Okay. Finally, linear, we will assume the system to be linear, which means the superposition works. Okay. Now, there are, how do we define the state, and that is a very important part of the overall exercise, and there are two possible definitions of the state. The state can be defined in terms of either the past input moves or the predicted future output moves. Okay. So, in the next half an hour I will take examples. I will use this definition for finite impulse response models, I will use this definition for finite step response models. Okay. And for rest of the MPC part, we are going to stick to this because this is what the DMC controller was based on, and we are kind of going along with the history and talking about this historically to motivate how MPC works. Okay. So, that is our strategy. We will talk about FIR response, the state definition, model description, we will talk about step responses, again the same, and then compare with FIR model, and then we are going to talk about how to do model update. Okay. These three things we are going to talk in this class today, and remaining two items we will do in the next in tomorrow, well not tomorrow, next week's lecture. Okay.